guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Stacey. This is going to be the books that I read the first half of March and a movie that I want to talk about. The first one I read was Elementary She Read by Vicki Delany, and this is book one in the Sherlock Holmes, what's it called? The Sherlock Holmes Bookstore Mysteries, I think. I don't know. I'll leave a picture of it up here, but it's a whole series of books that revolve around this woman who is part owner with her uncle of a Sherlock Holmes themed bookstore and emporium. And they also own part of a tea room that is next door called Mrs. Hudson's Tea Room. So again, Sherlock themed. Y'all know I have great love for Sherlock, and so these books are right up my alley. I had read one, which I think was like book 6 or 7 a while ago. And so I really wanted to go back to the beginning and start with book 1. And I'm glad I did, because you did get a lot more of the backstory of the main character. She is British, but she lives in Boston, maybe? I don't know, somewhere in New England. So you get that whole story of how she ended up there. I'm pretty sure this is considered a cozy mystery. It was clean. There's nothing, bad in it besides murder, of course. That's bad. But I don't think there was any cussing or there was no sex. Things like that weren't in it. And this story was about an old Sherlock Holmes collector who had a very large collection. He dies, and a part of his collection gets mysteriously left at the Sherlock Holmes bookshop. Things go from there. I don't want to say any of the mystery or really much of the plot, but that's what it has to do with. I really love the characters in this story. I love the setting of this story. I love all of the Sherlock things and references. I would love to go visit this place if it were real. I would definitely make a trip there if it were real. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with the series. The next one I read was The Stranger Diaries by Elly Griffiths. I struggle with that name. This one I got as an ebook on my Kindle. I think it was either free or some sale or something. And I believe it is book 1 of a trilogy all surrounding this detective. The detective is a Sikh, and this takes place in England. It was described as a gothic-y type of mystery, and a lot of it takes place in an old school. And so I thought, England, old school, gothic-y, I'm gonna love this. But I actually did not really enjoy this one. All of the characters were pretty terrible people, and I didn't relate to any one of them. There was a lot of adultery, not like the acts of it, but a lot of mention of it. One of the characters did that several times with different people. And one of my main complaints was there was a teacher who was like the favorite teacher, the cool teacher that all the kids really loved. And she was a witch. Like, she was described as a white witch. And she had a special group of kids, her favorite kids, that she brought into her coven, I guess. And she would teach them spells and incantations. And then they went on to do things that no one should be doing. So that was a huge turnoff for me. Also, the main detective, she was really kind of mean. The way she thought about people and her impressions of people was, I don't know, it went beyond just kind of a jaded detective in a way. She was just mean-spirited and not likable at all. There was also a story within the story, and the story that was within the story was a very gothic-y type of story. But yeah, the characters really ruined this one for me. The next one I read was The Game by Laurie R. King, another Sherlock story. This one takes place in India, and that is the main reason why I read this one, because I'm reading these way out of order. I haven't read probably the first 10 books of the series. I'm way ahead, and I really need to go back and start at the beginning. But this one was in India. And out of the 3 that I have read so far from this series. This is the Mary Russell series, so it is mainly from the perspective of Sherlock Holmes' wife. Out of the 3, this was my least favorite. I did not enjoy the setting of India very much. There was a lot of traveling, like by foot, and it got kind of tedious and kind of boring, just kind of, you know, trudging through these towns. They weren't walking the whole time. They were on a train, they were on a plane, they were on a boat. They were in different situations, but India just seemed never ending, and the stories seemed to go on forever. There also wasn't much of Mary Russell and Sherlock's relationship in this book like there were in the other 2 books that I read, and I really like their banter. I like when they're together, and they were separated for quite a lot of this book. And there was a lot of political intrigue. This one mainly surrounded a spy, a British spy, who had gone missing, and Sherlock was sent to India to hunt the spy down and see what became of him. And so there was a lot of talk of what was going on in between the countries, like India and Russia, and there was stuff with the communists, and all kinds of politics were going on, and it was kind of over my head and a bit too much. I just wasn't interested in all that. I gave it 3 stars because it is very well researched and very well written, but the story just wasn't the best for me. Next, I read The Magicians' Nephew by C.S. Lewis, and I buddy read this one with Holly from Lovely Day with Holly. She's linked down below. Please go to her channel. She is awesome. So yeah, this was a reread for me. I read this in 2018 or 2019, and it was very strange that I read this at all, because at that time I was not a Christian. I did not read children's books ever, and I was in the height of my horror time. I was reading all the Stephen King and horror, and the creepier the better, and for some reason I picked this up. And I don't understand why I did, but this book actually made my like top 5 reads of that year. I have a video from my old channel where I talked about this book, and I just went on and on about it. So yeah, I was excited to reread this because I loved it so much the first time. Loved it just as much, if not more, the second time, because now I'm reading it from a Christian perspective, and so much of this makes sense to me. Like, now I get it. I'm sure a lot of this just went over my head the last time, and I wasn't understanding the symbolism. But yeah, I loved this. This is a book that makes me wish I was a little kid again, and I had a grandpa to read this to me when I was sick. That's what this book is. This is so comforting and so cute and so sweet. It has the best characters in it. It is hilarious. The witch cracks me up. There is an evil witch in here who just thinks she is the gift of the world. There is a little boy in here who is so sassy. The way he talks to people was just cracking me up. His little attitude, I loved him. So yeah, this book was pure joy, and I would actually reread this again. And I'm not much of a rereader, but I would reread this one. Next one is Murder Past Due by Miranda James, another mystery. But this is the first in the Cat in the Stacks mystery series. This book takes place in Mississippi, and it's about an older man who is a widower, and he works in a university library. I loved the setting of this. He is an archivist. Is that the word? Is that how you say it? Archivist? I think so. He works with like archiving books. I loved his cats. I loved how much this cat was featured in this book, because I've read other cozy mysteries with a cat on the cover in the past, and sometimes they're just like barely mentioned in the story. This cat is a character. It is a full character of this book, and it is talked about often, and this cat goes everywhere the man goes. So I loved that. I want this cat. It is so cute. I'm not sure how I felt about the actual mystery though. Again, a lot of the people I didn't care for. I did not guess what happened. There were some twists thrown in there, which I thought were pretty fun. But yeah, this was just kind of middle of the road for me. I gave this 3.5 stars. I will probably pick up and try some of the other ones in the series because that cat. But as a really good mystery goes, it's not the best. So the movie I wanted to talk to you guys about is Jesus Revolution. I saw this with my son a few days ago, and wow, this movie might be my favorite movie. This movie blew me away. It was so well done. It looks like a Hollywood movie. So like the cinematography, the acting, the music, everything was so well done. And I feel like we don't get that very often with Christian movies. They did a great job of making me feel connected and making me feel emotional. I cried through this whole movie. Probably every 5 minutes I was crying, but it was tears of joy. This movie made me feel so much, and I related so much to the main teenage boy character. He is what would have been one of the hippies in the movie, and I wasn't a hippie in the 70s, but I absolutely was doing the things that he was doing in the 90s. I was very much the party girl and very much looking for meaning and trying to escape horrible things that were happening at home. And so everything that he was going through, I just really related to him, and I got it. I really got it. And seeing his transformation and seeing how God worked in his life and every other character's life was just so beautiful. There were so many moments that I literally wanted to stand up and be like, amen, hallelujah. I was so excited for so many things that were happening in the movie. I also really loved that the character, he's the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen. I think his character in the movie, his name was Lonnie. He is what kind of sparks off this revolution, this thing that was happening in California. He kind of gets that ball rolling. And in the beginning, he starts off as just the most genuine, Christ-loving person. But then you see what his kind of fame does to him and how he starts to change, and he becomes more prideful and less humble. And I thought that was so well done because it was just extremely realistic, showing his human side, and that he wasn't a perfect person made him more relatable. And it also made him more relatable to the great people that God used in the Bible, because none of them were perfect either. It was an amazing movie. It is great for the whole family. You can take your kids to this. You could see it multiple times. I'm definitely going to watch it again because I guess I just like crying. I don't know. Take tissues. Don't go without tissues. You will need them. I should not have worn any eye makeup because I was a hot mess when I left that theater. Yeah. And like I said, I took my 18-year-old son with me. He was highly impressed. He said that he really understood the point that they were trying to make, that it was a very convicting film. So if my 18-year-old son is saying that, that's very high praise. So yeah, very much recommend Jesus Revolution. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought of it down below. Or if you have any other really good Christian movies, leave those down below because I really want to start watching more of those. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for this video. I hope you all are having a great month so far, and I will see you all later. Bye.